Caution: only adult audiences should watch graphic violence. I experienced a traumatic childhood near-death experience a month before turning 10. I saw neither hell nor demons. Because I was 9 years old and couldn't comprehend what had occurred to me, the nature of my devastating NDE produced dread, worry, loneliness, and anxiety. I grew up in Arizona, which has a hot environment most of the year. My mother, father, sister, and I had returned from Mexico in the late afternoon or early evening on Sunday, October 22, 1988. My parents had opened the windows and turned on the swamp cooler to cool down the home, because it was still warm at that time of year. We all choked. I don't recall battling for breath because I was asleep. I had a brief out-of-body experience in which I saw my body in my nightgown with my exposed buttocks and my assailant standing over me. Then I was practically floating in a beautiful and tranquil void-like black space. I tunneled slowly towards a really brilliant light. A strong but gentle voice commanded me to scream. I took a deep breath, looked at the alarm clock, it was 12:30 a.m., and yelled. The man jumped off of me and fled the home. "What the heck happened?" my father yelled as he ran out of his room. "There was a man," I pushed myself to say. My father chased him down the hall and out into the yard, where he discovered his wallet on the grass. Only after I returned did I know that my vagina was hurting because the man had damaged my hymen. I was sexually attacked or raped. My father had left the back sliding door open, or more accurately, ajar. He's had a drinking problem, and I know it's personal, but I think it plays into this. So terrified of what had happened, I lied and told them I tore it while playing volleyball on the beach in Mexico, and they believed me. I went to treatment for the following 3 years. I was contemplating suicide. My grades plummeted. I was on the verge of failing 5th grade. I was bullied, and life was difficult for a time. We relocated to a different area of town, and things improved during high school. Life improved as I grew up and moved away from my parents. Since my attack, I've stayed up until 12:30 a.m., if I could, performing rituals to ensure my safety and that it would never happen again. Now that I have my own daughter, who is approaching the age of my attack, she's 8, I'm dealing with worry and attempting to find courage and resolution. Because my experience was so traumatic, it took me 25 years to process it. Growing up, I wished the feelings and thoughts would simply go. In retrospect, I believe I had an NDE, which I'll discuss in the following lines. It was a very confusing period for me, and when I tried to seek out, I was either stonewalled by those who criticized because they couldn't relate to my situation, or by myself for fear of being judged by others who didn't understand. I was aware that I was different, and I attempted to appear as normal as possible. That was a difficult act to follow, but I did my best. This is no longer important to me. I can recall my dreams when I was a child. I've always been a lucid dreamer, and ever since I was a teenager and learned about symbolism, I've been interested in my dreams. My dreams are sometimes so real that I believe I'm in them. The frightening dreams began in my late teens and persisted until I came to terms with my background. I enjoy the website dreammoods.com and use it frequently to look up a keyword if I'm unfamiliar with a sign. Haunting dreams always indicate that one is coping with anything emotional, repressed sentiments, or prior recollections. My frightening dreams have been coming at me like a bullet train in the last few years, waking me up at 1:11, 2:22, and 3:33. I won't go into any detail, but I will return to what I recalled from the night of my trauma and attack. I recalled my out-of-body experience, how I saw my body on the bed with my assailant, and how I was in a tunnel, floating slowly through a void-like space, with a dazzling white aura light at the end, and a voice commanding me to scream, violently but kindly. It happened so slowly, and yet so quickly. Something inside me led me to start investigating near-death experiences, and whether or not I experienced one, So I typed that into Google, and the first thing that came up for me was iands.org. I began there and was pleased with what I discovered. More information about unpleasant near-death experiences is lacking, because, as stated on their website, many people who have them may not come forward because they're traumatized by the effects and fear judgment, and I can absolutely identify to that. PMH Atwater's Children of the New Millennium was on my nightstand. I appreciate all of the study that has been done on NDEs over the years. And I have to read the titles listed on my resources page, but this book was a wealth of material that I could personally relate to. The angels seem to be saying, "Ah." Hank Williams, You Wrote My Life, written by Mo Bandy, is a country song. PMH Atwater, You Wrote My Life, I'd want to say. Anyway, she addresses the 4 phases in the book, which I completely understand, as well as how child experiencers take twice as long to incorporate the experience, which I also understand, and how children are 6 times more likely than adults to block their experience. It's a light bulb. I won't go into linking events with timelines of my phases here, but I will describe what I can relate to after effects below. She also reveals how she thinks in the language of the resurrection as a 3-time near-death experiencer, to which I can absolutely empathize. She employs feelings, sounds, odors, tastes, shapes, contours, pulsations, temperatures, and pressures, as well as a plethora of additional sensing modes that she cannot articulate for us. This entire section speaks to me deeply, especially when I write, because it takes me a long time to express myself in words. When I write, words sometimes fail me. It takes an inordinate amount of time to edit and modify a document, and even then, I'm not pleased since something isn't quite perfect. It makes sense now why I've fared so well in some classes and so poorly in others. If I was given enough time to think about what was expected of me, I performed admirably and excelled. Not so much if I didn't have time. Despite the fact that the night of my NDE was quite violent, I do not fear death. I've seen the tunnel. I recall it being calm and comforting. And for that, I felt intense feelings that I could not express in words. In my lifetime, greedy, selfish people have taken advantage of this principle. However, I consider myself as part of a greater community, and I rise above and continue to adhere to that concept. I let go of the unpleasant emotions that those negative people bring me. For the time being, my soul is a part of this vessel in order for me to learn the lessons I need to learn. Then it will go on. One of the most profound repercussions of my NDE is that I can irritate others by adhering to an impossibly strict moral and ethical code. I advocate for the little guy, or underdog, and I've been the target of bullying, blame, shade, and bullshit as a result. One of the reasons I was drawn to working with students from underserved communities is that they are the ones in the most need. Education is a key priority of mine, and I accomplished it effectively, but I also used my listening and observation skills to determine what services my kids and their families required. As such, give the silent a voice. I've never been a really competitive person. I just don't understand the point in it because it ultimately doesn't matter. I'd prefer to work as part of a team or as a team leader, which is why I'm drawn to systems thinking. I'm highly intuitive and can perceive and accurately read other person's mindset. I'm highly empathic and hypersensitive to people's moods and feelings, which has benefited me in my teaching career and will help me in coaching. After numerous encounters with imposters, I can now identify a liar rather simply. People who've come to me in times of need have left me feeling much richer, lighter, and happier. I've received numerous thank you emails from moms, former students, and co-workers for the knowledge I've shared with them. I have out-of-body experiences that used to frighten me when I was younger, but I now find them useful when I'm overstimulated. I've gotten extremely adept at seeing things in the third person, projecting myself into a room corner and viewing myself from that out-of-body perspective. I used to be able to predict the future until I was 22. I'm not sure why that came to a halt. I am sensitive to paranormal beings, especially in older towns or structures. I've lived in a few houses where I felt the presence of others. I have the ability to disrupt neighboring electrical and electronic devices. I've had problems with my computer losing memory, bothersome thumb drives, my toaster, TV, light bulbs, alarm clocks, electrical outlets, mobile phone batteries, hair curlers, and my car. Growing up in Arizona, I always felt it was excessively bright. I am easily fatigued by sunlight, and it has an effect on my immune system. We joke I could break my lease and go away. I have a fantastic memory, which can be both a blessing and a curse. I don't have hyperthermia, but I can remember a lot from my history. I can access my NDE at any time of day or night. It appears without my having to close my eyes. My experiences' imagery are crystal clear. The feelings are all there, and they are quite vivid since they are painful. I usually go to it in the morning when I perform my gratitude exercise, in which I journal everything I'm grateful for. I consider my childhood NDE to be unpleasant, because I was nearly choked to death, and according to a Psychology Today blog contributor, people who are nearly suffocated feel traumatized or scared. To me, that makes logic. A weight has been lifted off my shoulders now that I've made peace with my past. However, my work is not finished. I believe it is now safe for me to discuss my NDE because I have included it as much as I can, and I would like to assist others in incorporating their experiences if possible. I no longer fear being judged because I no longer evaluate my power intervene in my death, because if that man had succeeded in killing me, he could have gone on to murder my sister and parents. I've cycled through the various situations that could have occurred that night. I have no explanation for what happened to me, and I am aware the science is examining the phenomenon. As much as I enjoy science, I am suspicious of some studies. People often try to disprove NDEs, but there is simply not enough knowledge and expertise to properly comprehend what happens when we die. I believe there's reality to what Tony Wolff characterized as the medial nature, or the ability to walk in two worlds. My research experience has shown that the majority of research has been devoted to NDEs and cardiac arrest. With better and more inventive technology, more persons who have had a heart attack and died have reported having an NDE, good or bad, but generally good, with most of the features. So I've been trying to locate additional material concerning upsetting near-death experiences, so my work isn't finished. I get rather personal. I wish to play a role in unraveling the riddle of NDEs. I'm curious why suffocating NDEs differ from cardiac arrest NDEs. Is it something to do with the brain response? Children, according to Atwater's book, block out incidents 6 times more than adults. Mine gnawed at me in my dreams, and it was there beneath my nose. I only had to add 2 and 2 together. I'm a big fan of Jack Canfield, and in his audiobook, Maced, and this is quite true. Face your fears and rise. I've spent the last 25 years feeling and dreading judgment from others, feeling guilt and shame, and blaming myself for what happened to me, even though it wasn't my fault. I'll be damned if I spend the next 25 years feeling and fearing judgment from others. That's not something I have time for.